That's why we're stuck. That's why a lot of us feel stuck, is because we rush to have that interpretation of what things mean. Even if unconsciously you're like, no, I'm not. Maybe you're like, no, I'm not interpreting anything. Well, it's the unconscious works so fast, we're not aware that we are doing it. In the Quantum You, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and I'm just going to read some stuff and you guys feel into this. Where does the intelligence that keeps our heart beating come from? That's a part of the autonomic nervous system. Where is that system located? The brain's limbic system. And within the brain, are there specific tissues that are responsible for keeping the heart beating? Oh, yeah. Where are those tissues made up of? Cells. What are those cells made up of? Molecules. What are those molecules made up of? Atoms. What are those atoms made up of? Subatomic particles. And what are the subatomic particles primarily composed of? Energy. And that's where quantum physics and the Newtonian physics differ a little bit, because Newtonian physics steps to atoms, matter, cause and effect in terms of this world. Quantum physics goes a step deeper into the subatomic world, and that's where we really are looking at energy and everything being that, which a lot of us, especially here in this group, we already know that. But I really want to just examine this a bit more. So he says, Dr. Joe, when we arrive at the conclusion that our physiological vehicle is made up of the same stuff as the rest of the universe, we realize that the same 99.99999% of nothing is what makes the physical universe. So 99.99999% is nothing in terms of matter. There is nothing material about us or the universe around us. 0.00001% is physical. And he says, isn't it ironic then that we keep all our attention on the 0.00001% of reality that is physical? Are we missing something? So every time I read that, it's like, why am I focusing only on that fraction of reality? What am I missing here? Why do I keep all my attention on the matter of things, trying to change matter, and not focusing on what's way beyond that? And although I have the intellectual understanding of quantum and I've been digging into these things for a while, why do I forget? So, beautiful Gilly, anything you want to share here? And then I'll go into how Eckhart Tolle says the exact same thing, just in a different way. And then, of course, Miracles as well. Anything that comes up for you here?
Oh, I just remember the first time I ever heard this, I was like, what do you mean? I can touch my body. What do you mean? 0.00011% physical matter. I'm touching my own skin. I'm touching this desk. I'm touching this water bottle. How could that even be? And it was really hard to wrap my mind around it. And I'm sure there are many others who can relate to that. But let's go deeper. Let's get into
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, remembering the first time I heard that, and I was like,
Exactly how I felt. I remember watching the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, that talks about these concepts and also has the visuals of
Mhm.
these concepts. So I can see visually what they're talking about. I'm like, I'm either going crazy right now or I'm really landing into the truth of it all. So it was like this moment of you feel like your mind is about to be blown away, but at the same time, you're like, I really feel this, the
Mhm.
truth of it. So for those who have not watched the movie, it's an older movie, but it feels so current. What
So
the Bleep
good.
Do We Know? It's
Mhm.
free online, I believe, and I've watched it 20 times, and every time I watch it, I feel like I watch it for the first time. So,
Mhm.
okay, so this beautiful book, A New Earth, it really, although it was written in 2005, around the same time that What the Bleep Do We Know
Mhm.
came out, which is interesting. Collectively, humanity was really awakening at that time. But again, although they were written more than 10, 15 years ago, um, this is so current.
Mhm.
Like, because again, I feel and I know we are moving into this state. So here's what he's saying, chapter 2, ego, the current state of humanity, but he's really talking about something else before he goes into the ego conversation. So words, no matter whether they are vocalized and made into sounds or remain unspoken as thoughts, can cast an almost hypnotic spell upon you. Words cast a hypnotic spell. You easily lose yourself in them. You become hypnotized into implicitly believing that when you have attached a word to something, you know what it is. Right? So just because I have learned certain words and I have learned what certain objects are, I have been hypnotized to believe that that's what they mean. The fact is, you don't know what it is. You have only covered up the mystery with a label.
Mm.
Everything, a bird, a tree, even a simple stone, and certainly a human being, is ultimately unknowable. Which is like when I read that, I'm like, all the judgments, all the things I think I know, all the things I think even I want, or the things
Mm.
I go for every day, and I put a certain attachment and meaning to them, I ultimately really don't know because I'm trying to put labels on the mystery of infiniteness. I'm trying to control and put labels around something that who am I to know?
Mhm.
This is because it has unfathomable depth. All we can perceive, experience, think about is the surface layer of reality, less than a tip of an iceberg,
Mm.
which is exactly what Dr. Joe is saying. Why am I focusing on the 0.00001% and think I know and think I can explain my life or even believe things that I think every day and be like, that's what this is, just because I had a thought or just because I have an emotion, I'm like, this gotta be the way it is. But all I perceive and experience and think about is the surface layer of reality, not even the tip of an iceberg. What does that
Mm.
bring up for you?
I keep thinking about our last get together and how we talked about um, choosing how you express how you're feeling
Yeah.
instead of saying I am sad, I am angry. It's detaching from the emotion, allowing yourself to have the emotion, but
Mhm.
detaching from it and not identifying with it. Right? As I have this experience of anger inside of me. Right? So if we're walking around and we're labeling everything as we see it because that's what we learned, we're not really leaving a lot of room for the unexpected to come in, the invisible realms to make
Mhm.
themselves visible to us, and it's leading with the head
Yes.
as opposed to leading with the heart, which feels and senses. The mind perceives and has a little file cabinet of what is that it goes to, and it's, oh, that's nice, that's a sunflower, okay. And it has, okay, sunflowers are good for this, that, and the other, and they grow during this time, and this is how, instead of just feeling into that sunflower and intuiting, this sunflower has gifts for me here. Can I commune with this sunflower and intuit what it wants to provide me and how I can support it?
Mhm.
And that Eckhart Tolle's reminder of being present in every single step of your day, even reaching for the water.
Mhm.
My only goal is to reach, not to drink the water, just to reach in that moment for it.
Mm. So beautifully said. Because only in that moment can we open up to the rest of the iceberg, the 99.9999%. Because if I'm rushing to have a interpretation of the sunflower, of the water, or the bad stuff, right? In quotes, bad stuff, right? The physical pains. We rush to have a meaning to those. I do. Or the things that don't flow as I would want them to be, or the things that come up each day. I'm like, ugh, ugh. In that moment, I'm rushing to interpret it through 0.00001%, and I'm blocking the majority of what's really going on.
Hmm.
I'm really looking at the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the surface appearance, everything is not only connected with everything else, but also with the source, capital S, of all life out of which it came. Even a stone, and more easily a flower. Did you know that was coming up? I know you're so connected to this. So even a stone, and more easily a flower or a bird, could show you the way back to God, to the source, to yourself. When you look at it or hold it and let it be without imposing a word or mental label on it, a sense of awe, of wonder arises within you. You were so ahead, Gilly, already talking about it. It's just crazy. But it really isn't crazy because again, it speaks to who you are and how connected you are to these conversations. But again, it's like, can we do this with the stuff that trigger us?
Right, right.
Can we let it look at it or hold the thing that we're struggling with? Hold it, obviously, could be metaphorically speaking, and let it be without imposing a word or mental label on it, and kind of have that wonder and curiosity of, I wonder what this experience right now is wanting to tell me. I know
Mhm.
I'm rushing into the 0.0001% of what that means, but I wonder if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I like the word wonder. It has so many meanings. Childlike wonder, inquisitive wonder, what's going on? Can I be the observer in this moment? And yeah, the physical part of it, it feels completely real,
Yes.
right? The emotions feel real, the physical pain feels real, all of that feels so real. And it's like, how could I possibly believe that there's more to this
Right.
when everything is telling me it's only this experience? And this is, oh, I've probably been in this experience before,
Mhm.
right? So that lens from before is being activated in that moment. Right, so then the 99.9999% I'm trying to keep count in my head, um, is hidden because there's a veil, there's a lens that we're looking through in
There's
that
a lot.
moment based on
Mhm.
what we've already learned.
You're so incredible at taking me right to the next discussion. I love this because the very next thing I was going to share is from A Course in Miracles. And it's the very first lessons from the workbook. So, for those who are not familiar, this is a big book. And one of the things it has is the workbook for students that has 365 lessons, one lesson for each day of the year. The very initial lessons are very connected to what we're talking about. And I want to read some of them. There are nice statements that we can practice and remember during the day. But then I also want to read one of the lessons that speaks to what you just said, Gilly.
Perfect.
So, very first lesson. So, even if you're complete newbie to Course in Miracles, this is how it's. This is the first lesson. Nothing I see in this room or on the street or from this window, nothing I see around me means anything. So some people will run from this and be like, Course in Miracles, forget that. This sounds crazy. Or you might be like, okay, very interesting. So it's a statement you want to explore. Nothing I see around me means anything. So this computer doesn't mean anything. This lamp doesn't mean anything. This book doesn't mean anything. This hand doesn't mean anything. So it really starts to strip us away from all the meaning that we have put, the labels that we have put on things. Lesson 1, hello. And again, I find the connection, the bridging of what we read from Dr. Joe, what we just read from Eckhart Tolle, and then Course in Miracles, it's like same thing. Then lesson 2 says, I have given everything I see in this room all around me, all the meaning that it has for me. So I have given this hand the meaning that it has for me. I have given it. And you said something very wise, Gilly, earlier. It's from the past. So I'm going to get to that in just a moment. That I'm really looking through at everything through the lens of the 0.0001% of what we have all collectively agreed on looking at things at. And we have all agreed to look at things a certain way with slight variations. For the most part, there's a veil of what things mean. Lesson 3 is I do not understand anything I see. So the Course is like, well, first of all, you've given it all the meaning. First of all, it doesn't mean anything. Secondly, you've given all the meaning. Thirdly, you don't get it. You don't understand anything. You think you do. You don't. And obviously, we dive deeper into Course Miracles. So there's a lot more I could say here and go off for another 3 hours. But fast forwarding to lesson 7, I see only the past. So that's why we really don't understand anything we see, because we only see the past. And somebody might be like, no, I understand what it is. The past has taught me what things are. Sure, within this physical world, there's a level of truth to that. But Dr. Joe told us already that's 0.00001%. So do you want to focus on that? Fine. But when life gets to a point where you're like, I'm fed up with this level of reality, there's got to be a better way. this is just I can't keep going that way, then you open up to the rest of the iceberg. Open up to the 99.9999%. You're like, okay. So I love that you brought the past, because it really is something that we all fall into. And we are here undoing some of the things we've learned and opening up to what could be. And one of the things that I was really wanting to kind of bring back around to just practical experiences in our lives, I wrote down, what is something in your life right now that is consuming you, that has a hold on you, that you really are consumed by, and your attention is very much going in that place. And how can we start applying these conversations? So, but before I go into that, how does that all that feel to you, Gilly?
Oh, it just feels right on point. Um, I was thinking when you're talking about our interpretation of our hand, I started thinking about, yeah, even when I was younger, I would look at my dad's hands and I'd be like, oh, we have very similar hands. Is that how my hand is going to look when I'm his age?
Hmm.
Is that how my hand is going to age? So as I mature in life, I do look at my hands. I'm like, yeah, that kind of resembles what my dad's hands might look like. Yeah, okay, at this age, and without even being fully conscious of it, I'm pulling that past thought of this is what my hands look like when they get older into the present moment, and I'm cutting off creation. I'm cutting off source in that and saying, yeah, that's what my hands are going to look like when I'm older.
Mm,
That's how my dad's look. That's how mine are gonna look. And it's something kind of minute and very small. But if we do that with just that little topic, think about all the ways in which we do that with many topics, deeper topics,
mm,
right? How we perceive ourselves, how we
mhm,
perceive others, how we perceive about the lessons coming in for us, and what's challenging us, as you mentioned.
mm,
What is the present challenge, and am I identifying with that challenge, or am I breaking loose from that challenge and saying, hey, is can I be in a state of wonder right now? Can I wonder about this and wonder if maybe my past is coming in this present moment?
yeah.
Does it remind me of something? Right? Can I empower myself a little bit more in this moment and identify with the observer,
Mhm.
the wonder?
Wonder.
And that can be hard when you're triggered,
Yeah,
right? Because you just want to feel. You just want to feel all the things, and that's okay too. Like to feel all of those things. You need to feel all the things, and if you don't feel all the things, then you'll have no clue where you're at,
exactly.
right? Got to feel bad in order to also feel good. We
Yes.
need to know both aspects of those things.
Right.
Um, I don't know if I went on to like a little tangent there, but
No, they're
I might
all
have.
they're all connected, because what you're mentioning about the hand and looking at your dad's hand and thinking, well, that unconscious thought initially is like, oh, that means mine will look the same. In how
Mhm.
many ways do we do that? Maybe you caught the hand thought, but how many other thoughts we have, whether it's with our parents, their health condition, their patterns, the way they process emotion, the way they communicate, the way they associate with each other, the way they raise us. So many things that we then, fear that we will be the same or want to be the same or be like, I'm not going to be the same. But then it's all the same because we're still embodying that energy. but even beyond our parents, it's like all around us, the stuff that we look at and then it becomes us without having that filter of, hold on a second, what do I want? Like, how do I want my hand to look?
Right.
How do I have, like, for me, it's been physical stuff, physical health stuff. When I have a symptom, it's like, oh, I know what that is.
Mm.
What if I went to, hmm, I don't know what that is.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
have given the meaning that it has for me, but I only see the past. I only see the 0.00001%. What if the same symptom that I've had for whatever years had a completely new meaning that I was not willing to see? And I actually practiced that and I started seeing it from a different quantum perspective. Guess
Mhm.
what? The symptom left.
Perfect.
What I'm trying to say is when we go into that wonder space that you were talking about, some things just fall away because they just don't need to be there anymore.
We stop identifying with them and identifying them as something, "Oh, I know what that is," right? And claiming it. It's like, "I don't know what it is. I wonder what it could be." Or maybe I don't wonder. Maybe it could just go away. And that's not to just like bury your head in the sand or anything like that, but to be open to the possibilities that it may not be what you think it is, and that it could be a huge blessing.
That's why we're stuck. That's why a lot of us feel stuck, is because we rush to have that interpretation of what things mean. Even if unconsciously you're like, no, I'm not. Maybe you're like, no, I'm not interpreting anything. Well, it's the unconscious works so fast, we're not aware that we
Right.
are doing it. So the first step is to kind of pause and be like, oh, I'm doing it, or I'm rushing to have an interpretation of thinking I know what this issue I'm having, this relationship thing, this money experience, this health thing going on. I'm rushing to have a interpretation. Actually, my ego is rushing. It's
Mhm.
not even you really that's doing it. Um, that's why it's that hypnotic spell, right? That Eckhart Tolle was talking about. It's like sleep. It's like you go into a hypnotic mode of autopilot. And
Mhm.
then you wake up from that, you're like, oh, awareness. Oh, look at me. That's why again, Course in Miracles starts with those lessons right away. No, it doesn't mean anything. No, you've given it the meaning it has for you. You don't understand. You really don't. You think you're so smart, but you really are not. You only see the past, silly you, you know? It's like, and then you start to get unstuck because you're like, oh, there is the 99.9999% of possibilities that because it's in the unknown, I was scared to look at it.
Mhm.
I only wanted to look at what's known and what's comforting and what's familiar. But oh, wow, there's a whole other realm. So that's what I want to encourage everyone listening to think about. It's to take just one little thing that's triggering you,
Mhm.
just one little thing that you're feeling consumed by, and just practice that and say, I don't know what this is. I don't know. I don't understand. I have given all the meaning that it has for me, but I realize I'm only seeing the past. I'm perceiving through the 0.0001%. I'm missing the whole bottom of the iceberg. Let me open up to see what it could be. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when we get into that state of open, right, open, being in wonder, we let go of the self doubt,
Mm.
the negative self talk, the uncertainty that I have to find out answers outside of myself.
Mm.
And we allow ourselves to tune in to the energy that we're feeling and sensing
Hmm.
and recognize a possible pattern that's been occurring throughout our lives.
Yes.
Right. But if we've so easily given our power away and saying, I don't really know, can I even connect with my heart? Can I even connect with the divine? Do I even have that ability? Other people have that ability. I don't have that ability. We perpetuate these themes in our life and these struggles. So I'm hearing you, Lita. You're inviting people to be open to being in a state of wonder when they're in a triggering situation.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially in a triggering situation, to just pause for a second and look at the sunflower, like you were saying, and look at the situation, the pain and the trigger and the argument and the money and the whatever is triggering people right now. And I know we have some comments I want to get back to. Um, to look at that and pause and be aware that, oh, I'm putting all that I have known on it.
Mhm.
So let me pause, let me become aware, and then let me just say these statements. I don't know what this is for. I don't understand. I have given it all the meaning that it has for me, but I'm really only seeing the past. Let me open up to what this really is. Because God, source, divine, whatever you want to say here,
Mhm.
I really don't know. The ego's going to come and say, no, 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 no. No, no, you do know this means this, and you got to do this, and the next step is that. Well, ego is helpful in many ways to get us doing certain things, but in New Earth and Eckhart Tolle and Course in Miracles and Dr. Joe all talk about really stepping into our higher self that doesn't have that ego part. But it's a process, it's a journey. We're not saying to kill or eliminate the ego, but we are saying that for a while we're just gonna be okay, ego, yeah. Sure. Yeah.